The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's a Friday, and it got off with without a hitch today.
Yeah.
Look out, TGIF. Okay, here we go.
And
again.
Just for our viewers' knowledge, we will be on the air on Monday, and we will be on the air on Wednesday. The day before and the day after the 4th of July.
That's right.
So there will be no holiday vacation for us.
No holidays for Spindle City. We're always working. That's it.
Well, as many people are probably quite aware from Wednesday's show and from everything that's been going on in the city, Michael Aguiar has resigned, and the mayor, shortly after, I guess, Wednesday's show, came out with a statement that he was very disappointed after former grant coordinator spent funds on upscale hotel. Really? You are disappointed? Correia Knew Aguiar Flew. That's what's going on here. Hashtag that, people.
Say it again.
Correia Knew Aguiar Flew. So, hashtag that, people.
Hashtag it.
Hashtag it. There you go.
Yeah,
so,
very disappointed.
Exactly.
And I'm very disappointed in him because the fact is, listen, Mayor. You went out of your way to hire this guy. The city council didn't hire him, and you were bound and determined to make a position for this guy. You said, by your own words, he was a friend and a mentor. Just like the guy you hired for DCM that was an ice house guard, and then he had to be demoted, but still is making 80 grand or 85 grand, and a guy that didn't work for 6 years. And, I'm very disappointed in that. As the chief executive officer of the city of Fall River, you're going to give out these salaries. You've got an obligation to try to hire at least competent, or fairly,
quasi-qualified.
Quasi-competent people. And the other problem is, listen, the tone of an administration is set by the head of that administration. The fact that Mr. Aguiar even considered doing something like this, spending money like a drunken sailor, partying like a rock star, it had to come from the assumption that, hey, the mayor's driving around in a nice SUV with blue lights, speeding up to the airport with the lights on, which, by the way, is illegal, and he was seen by people. I wish we had a video, because then we could send it to somebody. He went to the Fontainebleau, which, is pretty much as good as the Ritz-Carlton. It's pretty much the nicest hotel in Miami Beach. And that's saying something, because there are a lot of really nice hotels on Collins Avenue in Miami Beach. But, but people mimic, what they see. The fact is, if when he took office, rather than figure out how he could spend every single dime and then raise everybody's taxes and spend more money, because that's his theory to fix in Fall River, tax us into prosperity, which we know doesn't work. The fact is that if he would have taken office and said, listen, we're spending way too much money, the taxpayers grossly overburdened, they haven't had a break in years. They tried to sell a lie that it's our obligation to get more taxes and fees every year, which it isn't. It's our obligation to pay for the services that we need, not to be an employment agency for politicians' friends. And they have an obligation to us to run the government effectively and efficiently. And to say that, I'm sorry. Remember, Harry Truman, the buck stops there. You're disappointed. Well, I'm disappointed too. The fact that you even hired this guy in the first place for a position we don't need in this city, And I don't care. I know there's an opioid problem. We've got state, federal, everybody. We've got Star. We're importing them. I ran into a guy yesterday, CJ, that told me that there are signs for people to come to Fall River all over the country. It's like we advertise for people to go into our housing. Now there's signs to come for treatment. He said he saw a sign in Florida to come to Fall River. I mean, this is Escape to Fall River now. We've become the destination. So,
wow, we're a destination. Hey, amazing.
Yeah, a destination city. Maybe we can. That's not the kind of tourism we need.
Exactly.
By the way.
Well, the mayor went on to speak on this, and this was all after this whole thing went on. He says that I know this administration, the people at this table, and myself did not know the amount of money that was being spent. That was not municipal funds. They were not city money. I did not know it, and I did not see it. But here's the thing. Not only did he spend a $2,500 bill on room service and the room at the Ritz-Carlton for 3 or 4 days, but he rented a pricey SUV, from what I was told, an Escalade, and that cost about $1,000. Okay? And this was a 3-day event, and according to public records, and purchased over $6,000 in office furniture. And he hired people to assist in his grant duties. Again, more friends of the administration, I'm quite sure.
Yeah, and that was his job, to write grants, and he had to hire people to help him write them, so he doesn't have to do any work.
Because he was probably unqualified to write the grants.
And he can go to the Ritz-Carlton. Listen, people of Fall River, taxpayers of Fall River, please. This was not municipal funds. So that makes it okay? Is that kind of well, it's not as bad because he didn't kill your brother? he killed your next door neighbor? What kind of rationale is that? That's the rationale of someone who's immature. I'm sorry. It's like, hey, I got caught my hand in a cookie jar. Johnny stole a cookie too.
Now,
but it wasn't my cookie. But listen, it's not municipal funds. It's still tax funds. The government doesn't have any money. They only have our money. Grant money is like, as we said on a previous show. Yeah, you're right. The people of Fall River didn't foot the whole bill. The people of the United States and the state of Massachusetts footed the bill. Because what the hell do you think that money is? You get federal grant money, it's your federal taxes. You get state grants, it's your state tax money. Jaisal, wake up. It's tax money, poor people's money. People who are living on less than $35,000 a year. Am I angry? You're damn right I'm angry. Total disregard for a working man. Total disregard. Sounds to me like somebody who never really had a job. He didn't have to go work at a market when he was 16. He didn't have to go somewhere. He was driving around mommy's leased car. This is the kind of attitude and priorities you get from people who can't connect with the average man. I.e., look, people are killing Donald Trump now. He's got all billionaires around him. Well, the common man is uncommon to the upper echelon. They are a monarchy. We have a monarchy in this country, and now we have a monarchy in this city. And now, after the fact, we're going to fix this? Why wasn't this fixed in the first place? Why didn't you tell, when you became the mayor, why didn't you tell every single person in the city that works for you that if you're going to go to a seminar,
Stay at the Motel 6.
Well, but try to keep it reasonable. Granted, there are a lot of situations where the convention's in that hotel, but in many cases, there's a hotel nearby where if you rented a car to drive a mile or so to the convention, you're going to save 40 or 50% of the bill. You don't have to live. You don't have to live like Donald Trump when you go to a seminar.
Oh my God.
I know a lot of guys like that. When somebody else is paying a bill, they drank scotch. When they were paying a bill, they drank draft beer. And that's what's happening in Fall River. We got champagne tastes on a beer budget.
Yep. I'll tell you. Now, the thing about this is this whole thing came to light by Renee Brown, who worked on River to Recovery. Is that the name of it, I think? And coincidentally, which I think is very interesting, yeah, River to Recovery, that's their name. Coincidentally, after Renee Brown disclosed all of this on the radio with City Councilor Linda Pereira, exposing the taxpayer waste, the taxpayer dollar waste, the waste of your taxes. Her location, which had been there for 2.5 years in a building, was inspected by the fire department and the building inspectors and then shut down. Now, we don't know why, we don't know how, but people are making a lot of assumptions. You don't do something like that.
The day after someone's on the radio.
Exactly. The day after they've exposed your administration, and all of a sudden now, it looks like retribution. I'm not saying it is, but it has the appearance of retribution.
Well, yeah.
And then to add insult to injury, Jason Burns goes on the radio defending it, saying, "Oh, well, we schedule these and we keep a log of them in a schedule, or we schedule them a year in advance." And then it was asked for a log by former Mayor Will Flanagan, who said, "Well, where can we see this log? Do we have this log? Oh, well, I can't expose where the other inspections are going to occur." Now, oddly enough, I have a gentleman here in the studio who used to work for the fire department. And I wonder, Mr. Person who used to work for the fire department,
yeah, well,
do they have a log? Do they have a scheduled log that they keep things, or did they when you were in the department? They might today, we don't know. But
there are scheduled inspections.
Right.
He's right. However, they have smoke detector inspections, and people go out and they make appointments with people. There are required by statute as a chief, I was required to do quarterly inspections of nursing homes. Nursing homes have to, by state law, be inspected. So those are scheduled, and there are other inspections generated by complaints, which aren't regularly scheduled inspections. But herein lies the rub. It's coincidental that it happened right after they're on the radio, but it's not the inspection. I'm going to make it very clear. There are inspections and there are inspections. If people know about politics. If you send, if it's a regular inspection and you see a violation, you don't shut the place down most of the time unless it's a severe violation that would jeopardize public safety. You cite them, you tell them to correct it, and I've done it numerous times in mills and in nursing homes and things like that. But everybody knows, and I'm not going to BS anybody. I had the card that said I was qualified to enforce the law and inspect buildings and stuff, and I'm going to tell you something. I could close virtually every building in the city of Fall River if you sent me there, because I can find something wrong. I was told by somebody, and obviously I'm not sure of the accuracy of this, and I will not say this is actually what happened, but somebody said it was about a stairway, a means of egress, and it was supposed to be 7 inches, and because they put a riser on it, it was less than 7 inches. Well, Come on. You know, we all know that, you know, if you watch old movies and old TV programs, I mean, what does a mayor or somebody, or some city councilor who wants to, you know, harass somebody that's giving him problems, they send the building inspectors and all the inspectors out with microscopes. And look, part of the job, they'll say, well, it's their job. Yeah, it is their job. But it's also their job as public safety people and as inspectors to attempt to try to work for the betterment of the city. You don't just unilaterally shut people down unless, as I said, there's a tremendously, you know, egregious violation that will jeopardize the safety of the people in that building. Because, look, there are businesses that these people employ people. We have, you know, we try to work cooperatively. As I said, you know, they can say what they want. If I have to go back in my records, I can show you, you know, hundreds of times that there were deficiencies, and you know, you call whoever is in charge, you talk to the owner, you talk to the maintenance man, you say, you know, I'm not going to shut a building down because you got 2 fire extinguishers that haven't been inspected, but they're still in the safety zone. So, you know, fundamentally, if there's something that can be corrected, you give that person the opportunity to fix it in good faith, because that's good community relations. If we shut down if we evacuated every house that we found a violation in, if we shut down every business we saw a violation in, nobody be working, nobody be living. We'd all, you know, I mean, look, there's a way to do it, and I can tell you, as someone who did it for a very, very long time, we always attempted to work with the people, always attempted to work with them and try to let them continue in their business. You know, most of the time, these violations they're not intentional, and you give people an opportunity. I mean, even if they cite someone, they normally have a time period to, unless it's as I said, unless it's an absolute hazard. I mean, if you've got debris piled against the building and a neighbor calls and says, you know, it's a fire hazard, you're right. You go there and you go, you got to clean it up today. Well, I'm not going to clean it up today. I don't know if I can get anybody over for a week. Well, then you order a cleanup and you send them a bill, because that's an imminent hazard. You know, look, as you said, nobody can prove it, but anybody with a reasonable amount of logic will say, this seems like it was a little over the top, and this is retaliation. This is the mayor sending a letter to everybody, or making an announcement. If you go on the radio and say, my guy gave more money to people he knew and agencies that he used to work for than he did to you, if you go on there and say something negative about me, I will rain inspectors on your head. I will do everything I can to make your life miserable because you had the audacity to speak out against me. That's what most of the people I've spoken to in the last day or so about this thing have the same attitude. You know, it's like, come on. You know, it's too coincidental to be a coincidence. Or as a wise man once said, there's no such thing as a coincidence.
Yeah, and the thing is that this is just the beginning, some would say. Others will say, no, this is an ongoing reign of terror. And that's what's happening. People are now afraid. People are becoming afraid to say anything. They're afraid to step out. And what is that, people? That is fascism. That is totalitarianism. And you know what? That is what the Nazi Party had. Is that what Fall River is going to become? A fascist state? We have to look at this with a really true vision. We have to take the blinders off, the rose-colored glasses. And you know, they came out with, Rainey Brown brought up on her radio interview that this opioid task force that they have in the city is a joke. She goes to them, there's 40, 50, 60 agencies, people present. Beth Fonts, the deputy director of EMS, daughter of a former chief here in the city, police chief, I believe.
Yep.
And she stepped up and said, oh, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it. Meanwhile, she's also the one wanting to take more tax dollars out of your pocket by making EMS Group 4. And when I personally told her how much it was going to cost, she said, I don't care. So this is the type of people we have trying to step up and do these things. All right? And she says, I didn't want to see the strides we've made come to an end. Fonts told about 20 providers and volunteers gathered in a training room. 20 providers. You go to Taunton and New Bedford, there's 40, 60 people. 40, 60 providers and volunteers.
You mean it's strides that they've made that make us one of the worst cities in the state?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that a stride or is that a moonwalk when you go backwards?
And let's talk about this because you know Baby Doe, Baby Bella, that was found on Deer Island. The father just got sentenced to jail. Guess where the mother was sentenced to?
Fall River.
Bingo! They're waiting for a bed.
Wild guess.
Wild guess.
Wow.
They're waiting for a bed for her down here. Can you believe that? But
I can believe it. I can believe it.
But this is what Fall River's become.
Yeah.
This is what we're becoming. You know, we're becoming a movie. Escape from New York? No, Escape from Fall River. That's going to be the sequel. That's going to be the honest sequel, Escape from Fall River.
Oh, you're right. As I said at the beginning of the show, I ran into a guy who said he was in Florida and he saw an ad for addicted people to come for treatment in Fall River.
Yes.
You know, we've become the hub. And as Mark Monroe Dion wrote, they're trying to normalize this. And as I said, look, you know, I don't have a problem. Well, I do have a problem with the whole concept of this being a disease. I have a problem with that. But if they're Fall River residents, we have a moral obligation to deal with the problem. My issue with this whole thing is, why have we now become not only the entire state's dumping ground, apparently we're becoming the entire nation's dumping ground. They're shipping everybody to Fall River. And the people who are running these programs are making huge salaries, and they keep wanting to expand these programs. Well, you know something? We've got enough beds and to treat Fall River. And I know that the statutes say that, you know, it's first come, first served. But I talked to many people who have been in this for a long time. They said in the past, when these people were finished with their treatment or got thrown out because they refused or whatever, they violated something, they were sent back to where they came from. That no longer happens. Somebody up in the richer areas of this state has the attitude, whoa, we sent them to Fall River. Why don't we just leave them there? So they never come back to disturb our affluent communities, and they're down there where they're all a bunch of losers, because that's what they think about the city of Fall River. That, you know, that nobody down here has a brain. Nobody down here, you know, we're all a bunch of welfare cases down here. And, you know, I don't care what kind of fancy logo you got and how you market it. That's the perception. I mean, look at the newspapers. Nationally ranked as one of the worst cities. Ranked in our state as one of the worst cities. And why? Because we continue to make it worse. Because we are bringing more problems in. We're not bringing in working people, tax-paying people. We're bringing in people to exacerbate the tremendous problems we already have. It doesn't make any sense, except if you're on the end of a paycheck that's generated by this.
But Chip, I gave that same speech about normalizing opiate addiction to the Canadian Health Ministry. because contrary to certain people in Fall River who think I need to be educated, okay, I have been classified by the Canadian Health Ministry as an expert. Oh, no. I guess they're not reputable. They mustn't be reputable.
Yeah.
So this is what happens to Fall River. We just bring them here and we make them stay here.
But it's a growth industry.
Yeah,
and you
it is.
know it.
It's a
and
huge
even
growth
though
industry.
you testified and they were amazed by your testimony, they could not
Nobody could refute it.
They
No.
could not refute anything you said. They're going to continue with these programs
That's
because
right.
people are making money. Because guess what? You know how difficult it is for a, well, number one, you can't afford it. But let's say you hit the, you hit the Powerball or something, and you tried to get into Beverly Hills. Try to go there. You'll be like, what was that old TV program? The
Beverly
Real
Hillbillies.
McCoys.
Oh,
You'll be
the
like
Real
the Real
McCoys?
McCoys.
Oh, yeah.
Here comes Jed and the Real McCoys. They're not going to let you. These communities, they do have their own set of rules, and they will make sure that they're going to make your life. They might send inspectors to your new house to shut it down because, they don't want the poor folk. They don't want they don't want the average working man. And Fall River always was a proud blue-collar town. People who went to work, got a paycheck. It's time to go back to that city, not import people. And look at our population. It continues to decrease. And if we didn't have this influx of people who don't contribute to this community, we'd be down to about probably 70,000 people.
Right.
65,000 people.
Hey, the dues for the U.S.
the
Conference
mayoral
of Mayors
thing,
will go down.
Go down, yeah. We'll save a couple of dollars.
And so will our federal grant money. But it just makes me laugh. Now, as many people may know, because we're going to get off of that subject now because I'm getting nauseated. As many people know, Taunton and the Wampanoag Indians had put a lot of stock, the Mashpee Wampanoags, into getting land put in trust and creating a casino in Taunton. And guess what? No Taunton Casino.
No Taunton Casino, which is good for the Tiverton Casino.
That's right. And I'm sure Twin Rivers is throwing a party.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, in consultation with the U.S. Department of the Interior, the tribe has suspended its request for review under Category 1 of the Indian Reorganization Act, according to a statement issued Tuesday by its public relations firm, Reagan Communications. The tribe will now investigate all options and instead will vigorously prosecute the appeal and examine all avenues available under the law.
But you see what happens. I heard today, or yesterday, I was talking to somebody, that somebody bought that bar at the end of Stafford Road, Benjamin's?
Yes.
Which was a notorious drug bar at one time.
Yep.
I don't know what it is now. I don't go to bars. I get myself in enough trouble without going to bars. But they said they have, new owners have bought it, and they're gonna dump a couple $100,000 in renovations and making it a restaurant, just in anticipation of the Tiverton Casino. So, they can say what they want, but this is something that's positive.
Right.
Jobs. We're going to have, this place is going to be renovated. Casinos are going to give us jobs. And when people go to work, see, we didn't need to give them a TIF. We didn't need to go out and beg them and then tell them that you don't have to pay taxes, you don't have to do this, and they'll probably hire Fall River people or Tiverton people because it's in the area, but it's on the it's right on the line of this Fall River Tiverton line. And why did they do this? Why would you buy this bar that's, it's in the middle of nowhere? Casinos coming. And the thing is, the lifeblood of a community is work. Paychecks. What brings businesses back to a community is not your crappy tourism bull. It's when people have paychecks and they can spend money and they will come, like in Iowa.
And one last thing real quick. The mayor yanked the internet tax on sales. He took the taxpayers' needs into mind.
Yeah, watch the Democratic House and Senate put the kibosh on that, even though it's an executive order. They'll probably go to court to stop us from saving a dime.
Of course.
Stay angry, everybody.
Of course.
And have a good weekend.
Because that makes perfect sense. Have a good weekend, everyone. We'll see you on Monday.